welcome to Series 2 of the ABCs of Audiobooks. I'm Paul McLaughlin, and today I have the letter C, which I've decided to focus on casting. So in Series 1 and Series 2, you've heard a lot of valuable and amazing information on how to voice the audiobook in terms of things like characterization, narrator voice, and then also technically how to turn that audiobook around if you're self-producing or sending off the raw files to someone else to produce. So once you have these two vital skill sets in place, you then come to the position of, well, how do I get these audiobook opportunities? How do I do the thing I love in finding opportunities for myself? And that's the basis of what this video is about. In general, we look at three main areas in order to secure yourself opportunities in casting. The first being agents, the second being casting sites or platforms, and the third being direct relationships, which we'll look at each in turn. So number one, agents. This is a viable source of opportunities in the audiobook world. It's not as prolific as the other two that we'll come to, but still a very valuable place for finding casting opportunities. It tends to work more on someone else giving you those opportunities, so the agent, for example, and less on you being direct in your efforts to find those castings. So what it means is you need to search agents and find the gap in their roster. An agent is wanting to represent someone that is very specific and unique. So they're not going to have too many of the same sorts of people on their roster. And when it comes to audiobooks, you need to have big skills in storytelling and narration, as well as accents and characters, in being able to differentiate all these characters. So you need to find gaps in an agency's roster where your skills can come in and help them secure jobs and make money. So that means you need to do your research. What agencies out there may have a gap for you, what may not. And then you're going to go and directly get in touch with them and then build a relationship. If you like audiobooks, you need to make this clear to your agent, and then you need to make it clear what sort of genres you're interested in, what sort of characters and accents and things like that, so that then they can tailor their breakdowns and they're responding to those breakdowns to you and bringing opportunities your way. So think of Stephen Fry narrating the Harry Potter audiobooks. This would have been the production company coming to his agent and then things working from that way. So it's a very viable opportunity. Number two is casting sites or casting platforms. And so these are all of the sites that connect voiceover audiobook actors with those either producing or directly creating them. And so think of paid play sites, but also direct and specific audiobook sites. The main operator in this space is A.C.A, Audiobook Creation Exchange. So for a moment, if you put yourself in the mind of somebody purchasing an audiobook, somebody who wants to listen to these fabulous audiobooks, they go to somewhere like audible.com and they find a huge selection by genre, by many sort of search criteria, and they get the audiobook that they're looking for. This is the public-facing side of the equation. On the behind-the-scenes equation, the behind-the-scenes part, you find Audiobook Creation Exchange, which is where audiobook producers and narrators are matched up and linked with the rights holder, usually the author, but not always. And those two parties come together and bring their skill sets together and create the digital form of an audiobook. So it then can be purchased, downloaded, and listened to at audible.com and other sites as well. So ACX is somewhere to definitely head. This is a whole ecosystem where these two parties are created and connected. And so you have a lot of different things you can implement on this site. So first of all, you want to set up a profile with your headshot, some samples by genre, by character, by accent. And then that becomes a profile sitting on that site for you then to be found by producers, found by the rights holders, but also for you to then refer to in the castings that appear on the site. The castings are in three broad categories. The first one being royalty share, which is no upfront per finished hour payment, but instead a back-end deal on the profits, where both the rights holder and the narrator producer splits the profits by a percentage. Royalty share plus, which is that back-end deal, plus per finished hour payment, and then a full per finished hour payment, starting in bands from 0 to 100, all the way up to 200 to 400 per finished hour. So we're talking usually full production on this, so one full finished hour of production with editing and mastering coming into that band. So you have these 3 bands where you can start to search for opportunities. One common path that newer narrators take is to head for the royalty share section, where you can start to create relationships with these rights holders, get your feet wet, start to understand the process of what it means to turn around an audiobook, first one, your second one, your third one, and so on. And then start to graduate up the tiers towards full payment of per finished hour. It's a great ecosystem. There's a large bunch of titles there from many genres, and it's really a good place to go, and it's definitely a must. So if you don't have a profile, set it up. One thing to note, there are a lot of scammers on there. Because of the platform, you don't need to verify that you're the rights holder necessarily. So you do need to do your due diligence, but that's something that's easy to get to, and I'm sure maybe one of the other videos in this series has come across that. Other sites that are like ACX include ahabtalent.com, that's ahabtalent.com, and ergo.us, erggo.us. Again, go to these sites, set up a profile picture, set up some samples, and then you have the opportunity to come across different projects that may be on there. Unlike ACX, which is just a blank platform, all the opportunities get listed and anyone and everyone can apply. On these 2 sites, they're a bit more tailored by specific search functionality, such as character, accent, genre, things like that. They want to match the results for the rights holder. They want them to be a bit more tailored than, say, with ACX. So it is important to understand where your strengths lie, in what genres, what accents, and that sort of thing. But definitely these 3 sites, worth getting there, worth setting up a profile. The next tier down in casting sites, in number 2, are those casting sites that are more general in nature. So you're not just going to find audiobook opportunities, you're also going to find commercial opportunities, corporate opportunities, e-learning opportunities. So these are the pay-to-play sites. And they're called pay-to-play because you have to pay a yearly or monthly subscription fee in order to play. So unlike the sites that were just listed, Ahab Talent, Ergo, and ACX, you don't have to pay anything to list yourself. It's really focused towards the audiobook industry, which is a good thing because those sites that were listed before, they're only going to become more prominent as audiobooks grow in momentum, which they've been doing year on year in terms of revenue and market share. But still, these pay-to-play sites, even though you do have to pay, there's a case for registering a profile and getting set up. So places like VO Planet, voiceoverplanet.com, definitely worthwhile. I have seen opportunities on there, not as numerous as on the audiobooks specific websites, but still worth a look and worth getting involved. So that was number 2, casting sites. The third and final is direct relationships. And this has, like number 2, has a few tiers to it. The first is direct relationships between audiobook narrator and the major publishing houses. Think Macmillan, Brilliant, Hachette, Penguin Random House, all of these publishing houses that publish the physical book, they all tend to have audiobook departments as well. So that means they want to have relationships with the best narrators in the business, the ones who can really bring these books alive, because you're dealing with some of the best and well-known writers in the world. And so they want the best and most proficient audiobook narrators out there. So again, going back to all the other videos in this series, you need to follow how do you voice the book, how do you technically record it and turn it around as well, so that you can then have access to these major publishers with great books, wonderful books. So that means getting in on the conversation. So not just developing your vocal skills and your technical skills, but getting in on the conversation. How do you find these people? Where are they? Where are they on social media? Go to the websites, start to reach out and contact them and get in on the conversation, because if they don't know you exist, they can't in some way, shape or form find you to potentially get that opportunity your way. So get in the conversation, get into the audiobook world. What audiobooks are you listening to? What places are you reaching out to, both digitally and also physically, in the conferences like APAC that happen, things like that. You want to get out, meet these people and get in on the conversation. The next tier down from those guys would be more specifically related to the audiobook industry. So those publishers of audiobooks specifically, thinking of places like Findaway, Cherry Hill, and also we can't forget Neil Gardner and Labrick Audio. So these people are specific to audiobook publishing. That's all they do. That's all they're interested in, because they love it. And because this series is produced and put out by Neil Gardner, we have access to his wonderful mind of experience, which he's kindly shared with us. So he's given us some ideas of how to interact and engage with him, which can stand in for all of the other people out there. So there will be more specific things to specific companies, but in general, these principles are pretty good to apply in terms of finding castings. So first thing to do is always bribing. So sending him pictures of cats and also wonderful chocolates. Great way to get in. But seriously, there are some things he's said. So some really good do's is to be short, simple, and concise. Don't send overly long emails. Don't go on. Don't waffle, because his time, their time is important. So you want to briefly say hello, mention who you are, where you live, what audiobook experience you do have. Do you have a home studio that you record in? Do you need to go to a studio to record? What audiobook experience do you have? What specializations do you have within it? What genres, what characters, what accents, and where you live. So short, simple, and brief, because that way you're going to help serve him. He has casting problems that he needs to fill. And those problems, you want to be the best servant of those problems, as opposed to taking the energy out of the conversation, out of the interaction. Help serve him, help find where you might fit in the file that he keeps of audiobook narrators. That way you make his job easier, you make him want to work with you, you make him want to reach out to you. Don't get in touch and talk about commercial voiceover. Don't get in touch and talk about corporate voiceover, because he doesn't do that. He's not interested in that. Don't say you know all about his company and then again mention a TV advert, a corporate piece, because that shows that you actually don't know about his company. You don't really understand the process of what he does and how it works. Don't say you've come recommended if you haven't been recommended. Don't go on about yourself. Basically, again, be a servant to him, what you can do to help him in his casting process and in him serving his clients. So the publishers, the rights holders, he's serving them to turn around an amazing audiobook. You want to help him make the best possible product so that he gets more clients and then he has more need of audiobook narrators. So those are principles that can stand instead for, in general, all these publishing companies, and even also for the publishers themselves. The last aspect of this going direct is with the rights holders, usually the authors, but not always, but going direct to them and creating a relationship that's got no one in between, no agent, no publisher, no middle person. And this is a viable opportunity, viable alternative. Because a lot of books out there, they don't have audiobook versions of them. So that means that there's a market for them. So you're thinking of going to small publishers, going to Amazon, finding all the books that are out there in print, finding those books that don't have audiobook versions and going direct to the authors and the rights holders, striking up a conversation. So this is the realm of cold calling, of cold emailing, creating a relationship that wasn't there because you, first of all, love audiobooks, you love narrating them, but you're providing a service to them, an added value of turning their book in its written form into an audiobook. It's such a detailed process, and you bring your skills in your vocalization, but also your technical side, and that's something that can really serve them. So go direct. Say what you like about their books. Start a conversation and start that roadmap towards potentially producing their books and getting them uploaded via ACX or other platforms as well, Authors Republic as well. And that's definitely a viable way, because a lot of these books, they're trilogies, they're more than just one book. You can set yourself up for lots and lots of work by really going direct. So there you have it. It's what are we here? 13, 14-minute video. It's quite long, but also a lot of detail there, a lot of things to be getting on with, because once you have those skills vocally and technically, it then really is just a matter of finding those connections, finding those relationships, building them, and getting yourself access to those casting opportunities. So agents, casting sites, and direct relationships. These are three things that you're going to be working on throughout the rest of your career. You're always going to be developing these relationships. Marketing and business, it never stops. Just like your vocal performances and your vocal coaching, they never stop as well. But these things are all about getting your brand, your message, your skill, and all of that out there so you can rendezvous and connect with those people who can give you opportunities. So good luck, follow the advice, go to the sites, and happy voiceover audiobook.